You know, history has a way of remembering its great emperors, right? But what if I told you that one of the most influential figures, a guy who literally shaped art, spread a global religion, and controlled the crossroads of the entire world, has been kind of hiding in plain sight? Well, today, we're going to uncover the story of Kanishka and his absolutely incredible Kushan Empire. So, if I say great Buddhist emperor, what name pops into your head? For most people, it's Ashoka, right? And for good reason. But what if there was another one? Someone whose impact was just as huge, but whose story is way less known. That's the big question we're asking today. Who is Asia's other great Buddhist emperor? And the answer? Well, it's not just a person. It's a place, a forgotten powerhouse that sat right at the heart of the ancient world. We're talking about the Kushan Empire. Okay, so to really get a handle on his impact, we're going to take a journey through 5 key parts. First, we'll meet this forgotten emperor. Then, we'll see how he actually built his empire. After that, we'll dive into his pretty revolutionary vision for Buddhism, check out the explosion of culture that happened at this crossroads of the world, and finally, really try to understand his lasting legacy.
All right, first up, let's meet the man himself, Kanishka. You know, a lot of emperors go down in history because of their big battles and conquests, but Kanishka, his real genius was figuring out that true, lasting power, it wasn't just about what you win on the battlefield. It was about what you build through culture, through art, and through big ideas.
But to really get Kanishka, you have to know where he came from. So let's rewind a bit and look at the origins of the Kushan Empire and figure out how this absolute powerhouse even came to be. So, the Kushans didn't just appear out of nowhere. They started out as the Yuezhi, a nomadic tribe from the steppes of Central Asia. Over time, they moved and settled in the area we now know as Afghanistan and northwest India. Now, the empire was officially kicked off by a guy named Kujala Konfucius, and his successor, Vima Konfucius, made it even stronger. But it was under our guy, Kanishka I, that the empire really, truly hit its golden age. And wow, what an empire it was. I mean, it wasn't just big, it was perfectly placed. The location was everything. From their capital in what's now Peshawar, Kanishka's territory stretched all the way from the mountains of Central Asia to the plains of India. It was literally the bridge connecting whole civilizations and continents. And that geography? It was the ultimate strategic asset. Think about it. It wasn't just about owning a bunch of land, it was about controlling the flow. Kanishka basically held the keys to the economic superhighway of the ancient world. Yep, the legendary Silk Road. So you've got this massive economic power, right? Well, it was matched by an equally huge cultural influence. And this brings us to Kanishka's most famous legacy, the way he helped reshape one of the world's major religions. Remember how we mentioned Ashoka? He was the big patron of early Buddhism? Well, fast forward a few centuries, and Kanishka picks up that same torch, but, and this is a huge but, with a really crucial difference. He became a champion for Mahayana Buddhism, which was a newer, more expansive way of looking at the faith. And to really cement it, he sponsored the historic Fourth Buddhist Council to basically define its future. And this council, held in Kashmir, was a total game changer. With Kanishka's backing, all these important scriptures were compiled and organized. And Mahayana Buddhism was given this official platform to just take off. From that moment on, it started its incredible journey along the Silk Road, completely transforming the spiritual map of China, Central Asia, and pretty much everywhere it touched. But Kanishka's empire wasn't just a highway for religion. It was more like a massive melting pot, a place where all these different cultures, ideas, and economies didn't just meet. They collided and fused together in some really spectacular ways. And you can really see this fusion in the art of the time. Nothing captures it better, really. This period gave us the Gandhara school of art, which is, at its heart, this absolutely stunning mix of Greek and Indian styles. And this mix wasn't just interesting. It sparked a full-blown artistic revolution. So you had artists taking the incredible realism of Greek sculpture and using it to express Indian spiritual ideas. And the result? It was breathtaking. For the very first time in history, we see the Buddha depicted as a human being. This completely changed the face of religious art forever.
It's often said that great rulers attract great minds, and that was definitely true for Kanishka. His court was this buzzing hub of intellectual activity. I mean, it was home to absolute giants, like Ashvaghosha. He's the poet who wrote the famous epic biography of the Buddha Charta, and the brilliant philosopher Nagarjuna, whose ideas pretty much became the foundation for Mahayana thought. Now, all this amazing cultural and intellectual energy wasn't happening in a vacuum. It was all built on a rock-solid economic foundation. With the Silk Road firmly under their control, the Kushans were sitting on top of a booming trade network that connected the Roman Empire all the way in the west with China in the east. Kanishka even issued tons of gold and copper coins. And what's really cool is that many of them showed a whole range of gods, which tells you a lot about the religious tolerance of the time. Kanishka's power wasn't just in trade and ideas, though. You could see it built in stone and timber. He commissioned countless stupas, but his masterpiece, his crown jewel, was the Great Stupa in Peshawar. People who saw it back then, ancient pilgrims, they described it as a wonder of the world. And get this, it soared to a height of almost 400 feet. That made it one of the tallest structures on the entire planet at the time. Just imagine that.
Okay, so let's pull all these threads together. Why does this emperor, from an empire that's been gone for so long, still matter today? What's the big takeaway? See, Kanishka's legacy isn't just a story about some powerful kingdom. It's really the story of a pivotal moment in history. It's a story about how cultural fusion created brand new forms of art. It's about how a world religion expanded and shaped countless societies. And ultimately, it's about a fundamental, game-changing shift in the entire course of Asian history. And all of this leaves us with a really fascinating thought to chew on. Without Kanishka's empire acting as that crucial bridge between East and West, would Mahayana Buddhism have ever become a global religion? Would art have evolved in the same incredible way? It really makes you stop and wonder, doesn't it? Just how different would the story of Asia look without him?